The Matrix makes absolutely no sense, and here's why. Hi, I'm Joshua Hicks. Welcome to my author channel. Now, today, I'm not going to be talking about something that a bunch of other people have mentioned on the internet before, which is the fact that why does the Matrix exist in the first place? You know, like, you have these machines who are trying to provide their own energy source. You know, they scorched the sky and everything, as is mentioned in the first movie and is showcased more so in the sequels. And so, within the context of the movies, it has been pointed out, accurately, in my opinion, why bother generating the Matrix in the first place? Why not just lobotomize all of these subjects and then just use their bodies for the energy they produce? You know, assuming you can even really do that, why they don't just go above the cloud cover and put up solar arrays or, you know, harness the various winds and thunder and storms and all this stuff that's going on all over the planet. You know, that by itself is a question that has been asked, which the movies did not answer for various reasons. But that's not the complete logical non existence that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to say, okay, fine, let's have the Matrix. The thing exists. The way it functions in the movies, even assuming that we can't have it in the first place, it still makes no sense at all. And let me get into that. So, first, you get the idea. So, we have all these people in these pods, and we're generating a full sensory VR experience. You know, back in the late 90s, this stuff was completely relegated to sci fi. Um, Things like Ghost in the Shell did a lot of stuff that the Wachowskis very clearly just kind of stole from. But hey, they stole from everything, and that's what a lot of great writers do. Not necessarily saying they're great writers, but that's, you know, a thing that happens. So we have this setup, and we're generating basically an MMO, you know, massively multiplayer online style game. If you've ever played or familiar with World of Warcraft, like, I could see in a century sapient machines being able to create something like the Matrix. Now, of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, why they would do that in the first place, but assuming they have their reasons, maybe it's more of a, you know, whatever. That's a whole other thing. So, from the Matrix itself, we are generating full sensory experiences for everybody who's plugged into the Matrix. Now, how many of these people walking about the cities and stuff are, you know, NPCs, non player characters, versus people hooked in? It's not really made clear. It seems like it's a good mix of both. But out of the people, you know, the humans who are plugged into this system, we have all of it. Like, the amount of data happening is just insanity. So lots of resources are going into this. And this is clearly a system that is analogous to stuff that we have today. So my question to you is, why did the agents in the first movie, like, I'm just not even going to talk about the sequels because there's enough problems with those. I'm going to specifically just talking about the first movie. Why did the agents walk in on Neo's work? You know, when he's in his cubicle and he gets the call from Morpheus and he's like, you know, we need to get you to the roof because the agents are coming. Why are they walking around like they're cops in the real world? Now, for the audience, it makes perfect sense, but from in-world logic, not, you know, the storytellers telling a story, from in-world logic, when you have an admin for a system, because that's basically what they are. They're, you know, the admins slash the antivirus software. They don't join the crowd of the users. They are invisible watchers, not at all inside the system itself. So really, what the agents should have been was the antivirus protocol. That's just scanning anomalies. Oh, we have detected an anomaly. Okay, cut that IP address off, meaning cut that connection to the matrix, or disable that program. No. Oh, scan through. Oh, wow, there's a lot of weapons that we didn't spawn in here. Despawn. All the weapons are gone. The connection is gone. Because the way that the matrix works, you die if you're unplugged without hitting the internal phone network, which, again, from a, like, I could see sort of like an asshole programmer maybe doing something like that, so I guess I'm okay with you have to be at a phone line in order to get out again. Like, that's also kind of inside the system. What programming made that happen? Why is that a thing? But anyway, you know, you should just be able to unplug and replug. However, but what you know, again, you know, we can argue all these different pieces. We've already established that the Matrix by itself just makes no sense to exist in the first place. But from the functional perspective, you have this all going on. So let's say the agents have detected a breach from the, you know, from Zion. And so now they're searching the area. They're not walking around in black suits, you know, whatever. No, they're skimming the code. They're probably not even looking at the simulated environment. They're just looking at the metadata, because that's what analysts do. They're not in any of that stuff. They're just, okay, here's an anomaly. Okay, what's causing that anomaly? Okay, here we go. Cut the line. Everybody's immediately dead, because cats doing things. The Russians, you know, USSR, pre-first Matrix movie, all of that, their first strategy, when something's fishy is going on, cut the phone lines in the area. Bam, sorry, no phone. So immediately, oh, we've detected a problem, cut the phone lines. So even if that system is what's happening, there's no phone to run to, you know? And if you're doing stuff like jumping vast distances, or, you know, punching through walls, or flying, as in the later movies, why don't they just have, oh, that's anomalous behavior, disable that connection, user dead, or hacker dead? I don't know. Again, the Matrix doesn't make any sense, but just from that perspective alone, it's like, clearly the Wachowskis did not know much of anything about IT stuff. And yes, some of this is with 20 plus years of hindsight on how modern technology has advanced from where they were back then. But even where they were standing back then, having the agents have to be, you know, physically there, looking around with their simulated eyes and listening with their simulated ears to catch people is like, no, just scan through the walls, because it's all just data. But anyway, let me know if you agree or disagree. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Since you did, clearly you liked something about it, so go ahead and subscribe for future videos and leave a like. Comment if you have any further ideas about this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.